All right, we are live here on Gators Gameday, and just as we predicted, Florida's up. Well, not quite what we predicted, but Florida up a touchdown, 13-6 at halftime against number 2 Georgia. Bud, initial impressions here at the half.
I think this is kind of like best case scenario we could have thought of in some ways. Like, defense is looking great. Georgia's looking vulnerable, especially Carson Beck. Their run defense, they hit a deep cross. We saw Georgia playing the coverage we thought they'd kind of be playing, where they were going to be rotating the weak safety. We saw that, hit a deep cross over that, which is awesome. We had the dig right behind it. So, I think second half I'd be feeling awesome if we had DJ Lagway out there and we could be pushing the ball down the field. I think from what we've seen from Aiden, I'm a little bit concerned that we're going to throw a pick in the second half. He seems like he's going to take some risks. So it might come down to, can Florida run the ball better than Georgia's offense can work? And, is a touchdown lead enough there? So, Seth, what do you think?
Yeah, I think kind of what you've kind of said. It's I think the big story is Lagway being down. Obviously, you felt like that throw might have settled him into the game a little bit because he was a little bit erratic early. But yeah, I worry about Warner. Just the way he's just like auto through the backside slant. Georgia's just right there, the one that ended up being called incomplete. I mean, technically that's the right read. Georgia's corner jumped inside because Florida runs a ton of slants from the backside. But he threw it anyway. So that's a little worrisome, I think, that he may get baited into one. But this, at least he's willing to throw it. So if they do scheme things up, he's not going to hold it. But I would imagine, I think great first half from Florida defensively. Before we start talking about kind of what we think we might see in the second half, defensively, I mean, fine being a bend but don't break. And the way Carson Beck's played this year, it's kind of like, let's see if he'll make mistakes, and he has. So he's thrown those 2 interceptions, and I mean, some of them weren't even like the one was like 3. It was like it could have been picked off by like 3 guys. He would have had to throw it like literally through 3 bodies to get there. So
yeah,
there's confidence, and then there's thinking you can throw a football through another human type confidence. he's there, I guess. So yeah, but I mean, about as good as you could have asked outside the injury stuff. I think Austin Barber looked like he got dinged late too, so hopefully he's good. And I haven't. Have you seen anything on Lagway's injury?
No, I haven't seen anything yet. I think we got to shout out Aaron Gates.
Yeah, he's somebody that after the Tennessee game really like popped on my radar, and we talked about him a little bit the last couple of weeks. That like if he can cover anybody, he's gonna have a chance to make money. And he's all over the field today. So
absolutely, yeah, he's looked great. Deshaun's looked good, and I think we've had. Go ahead.
If Lagway didn't get hurt, the story would be, hey, look at these young players for Florida playing really, really well against the number 2 team in the country. That would be okay. So JP says Billy said a severe hamstring. So wrap it up, get him back out there. No, so I would imagine he's done for a while. But I think the story would be you've got a lot of young players playing really well for Florida.
Yeah. I think losing Banks hurts. I haven't seen him back out there, and he's been kind of one of those guys that I think has really been one of the few on the defensive line to be consistently playing well. I don't know, PFF doesn't have a grade miss high, but he's a guy that I think usually is pretty good. And we saw him get injured on a pressure, and he's generating a significant amount of pressure for this D line from the interior. And so to lose him is pretty bad. I think getting pressure, when we have pressured Beck, he has shown a tendency to make mistakes. I think we've got to get those cleaned up or continue that. When he's sitting back there, I think he's kind of picking us apart a little bit. But ultimately, like you said, bend don't break, which I thought we kind of needed to win this game. Like make Georgia kick 3-4 field goals and settle. Make them have long drives that drain the clock that, plays in our favor. That first half basically played out kind of best case scenario for Florida other than injuries.
Yeah, another Bud Elliott, I think, calls it playing red zone roulette. Like, give up stuff in front of you, don't give up explosives, and then get down to the red zone. And if you can kind of get off the field with stops, then you've got a shot. So I wanted to look at a couple things just that we kind of talked about in our kind of pregame look at it. Let's see if I can get a really good. Yeah, so here's I think a pretty good look at it here. Just what we thought we might see in the pregame, and then talk about the touchdown, because I think the touchdown was something that was really well schemed up, really good call. So let's look at just a clip from earlier this year of Georgia playing Alabama, and we talked about one of our big things was who's going to play. How are they going to play the crossers for Florida? And we thought that that could be a spot where you could get them to play them aggressively. Now, Florida ends up, and we'll go look at it in a second, running the crosser ends up getting open, but they had a shallow cross coming here. And I just show this clip because here's how they played mesh earlier with the shallow cross with this safety pinning all the way down. Now, this isn't exactly what they played, but just to show kind of this is what we talked about on Monday, just how aggressive they play these crossers at times, right? These shallows. So
and we thought they would play him really aggressively because he's kind of had a tendency to make some risky throws, and we thought they might be doing that potentially to our detriment, and it worked out. The aggressive safety play this time, we kind of have something. We've got a shallow cross and then a deeper cross, but it's almost like a seam too. He gets pretty vertical with it.
Yeah. And this is from a couple years ago when Richardson was playing. So you had Florida. They like this because I think against Georgia they like this kind of look because against man or zone with how they play the crossers, you have a chance. He's a shallow guy and he ends up being the crosser. Now I think they run more like I think it ends up being probably pretty similar play out here, but the pressure gets there. And now we'll look at kind of what the Lagway touchdown looked like here, because it was a similar look on that side to where you have the shallow coming across. We'll just look at it on Twitter. So you're going to have down here, you're going to have the shallow come across, and then you're going to have a deep crosser. So as soon as the safety hesitates, seeing the shallow here.
Four-step ball by Cameron James. Play fake on first down. Lagway launching downfield, has a man. Touchdown.
Too. So like really, really good stuff there from Lagway, like high level stuff. And that's kind of what we thought you'd have to do. Like you got to hit some explosives in the passing game to beat this Georgia team, and they give you opportunities. So really well schemed, really, really good throw, and great job. Florida's got some speed and explosiveness. Mizell's been a guy that when he's been healthy has really been super explosive so far this year. So good call and good time to dial it up.
Oh, I can't believe Georgia didn't expect a shot there. I thought
that's what
when I saw too high there, 40, I was like, we're going to take a shot here. They're expecting a shot. This is not a good setup. And they go aggressive with it and rotate the weak safety down. And then it's like, what are you guys doing? You got essentially one deep, and they get burned because the dig was open on the backside too.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about as well. Like if they do take the crosser, then the dig should be open. So here's the game on paper. Look at the first half. Anything you want to highlight here, Bud, or anything you want me to show?
Yeah,
on here?
So the story of the game, the havoc rate for Florida. So that's going to be, we've had some big sacks. We've had the interceptions. So that's showing up there. It's growing great. Both EPAs in the negative. We were slightly in the positive until Lagway got hurt, and it's been trending slowly down since then. Kind of what I'm looking at is how this EPA per rush number for Florida, negative 0.12, not great, but we're actually not having a terrible day running it. It's been okay. Compares to the overall Georgia EPA per play. Their offense is not playing very well right now. A lot of that is the interceptions, but they're breaking even running the ball, and they're slightly negative passing. If that sticks, I think we can pull this off. It's really just going to be a kind of race to the finish. If we can slow them down, they're probably going to be going a little bit faster. Do we have enough runway to cover this game? You and I were talking, how many more points do we think Florida needs to win this game? And I think that's the big question.
Yeah, I think I'm 10 to 14-ish. I think 28 is probably where you want to be. I mean, the way Georgia's playing, I don't know. Do you expect Florida's defense to hold up the whole game? I don't. To me, I'm not expecting that to happen. So, 3 touchdowns, but 20. If you can you're up 7. If you can get 14, get to 28, I think you've got a really good opportunity.
Yeah,
23. I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Yep, I think I'm right there with you. I think, especially expecting, Aiden Warner's probably going to throw a pick in the second half. He's just if he plays a clean game, I think we can get away with 10, and walk out of here with a win.
Yeah.
Even that is getting pretty tough if he throws a pick. If he throws a pick, then we probably need 13, 14, 17 kind of thing. So. It's going to be close, which is great. Enjoy these games. We don't get that many of them. And,
the yards per carry hasn't been great, but I did want to point out, like, the success rate for Jacoby Jackson and Jaden Ball's at 50%. Jacoby Jackson's at 60% success rate running the ball. I think we're going to have to see a lot more pistol in the second half, like the pistol version of the offense.
Yep.
That's the one where you can manage the quarterback a little bit better, and you can use the boot in lieu of the run threat. Like, without Lagway, I don't think you saw them go back to kind of on the third down, that kind of longer handoff to Ball, and it just got crushed because there's basically 2 came off the edge and nobody cares about Warner pulling it. They're like, all right,
exactly.
Pull it. Good luck. So I think you got to get in the pistol and really get downhill play action if you want to get play action and throw the ball.
Yeah.
And I think, it seems like some of the quick game stuff would be there, like a few times, like, like spacing would have been there. And there's a couple of things that, like, they haven't quite gone to all the old faithfuls, but I think they can get in the pistol. And if you can keep running the ball, I think you'll be all right. But yeah, just make it easy on him. Yeah, the slant ball. The slant ball was the second one was a good throw. The first one probably should have been picked. So that was a little worry. But he's not afraid to let it. He's not afraid to let it rip though. So
yeah, and he's in some ways going to have to win this game. Like,
Rob, I think it's more of like Billy knows he has to be aggressive because he can't just kind of. I think it's more. I wouldn't say he trusts this kid more than the other. I think at this point he knows, like, I've got to be a little bit more aggressive because I need.
Yep.
This is like this is a problem. Maybe not, but like in his mind, I'm sure this is like a job saving game if you win.
Yeah, and we can give Billy props for getting those last 3 heading into halftime. That's huge. Those stole us, but we got those running the ball. We got in the pistol. We had a couple handoffs that got us close enough that it's like, hey, let's play for this. But those were not necessarily aggressive calls out of the gate with Warner. Those were pretty safe calls where if they're not successful, they're burning clock, go to the locker room. We hit on 2 in a row, and then it's like, let's go. Let's try and get some points here. And it worked out. That was great. But
I thought for sure we were talking before, and I was a little bit behind you. I'm like, oh, they're probably going to knee it out, right? And you're like, oh, no, they just ran the ball and called a timeout. I was like, oh, okay. Like,
but they got in those pistols for one, and well, I mean, I don't know if we're playing scared or not.
I think
if we get stuffed right there, people are probably saying, "Oh, he's just running the clock out." So
yeah, I was worried about pulling a Mario, but like if you trust your guys to run it, then all right, run it and just maybe at least it gives you another look at what they're doing defensively to some of your stuff. But I think like it certainly seems like that was a more aggressive Billy Napier than we've seen at times in the past, which is always one of my worries with him is like it seems like when the defense plays poorly, he's a better play caller and more aggressive. When the defense plays well, he's less aggressive. So it's good to see him be aggressive and realize like, all right, if we can go steal some points here, that'll be really big. So like that feels like a total theft at the end of the half to go in and get those extra 3 points
Just
after holding Georgia to the field goal in the previous drive.
Secret benefit of DJ getting hurt is maybe no trick play this game. You know, out there getting many reps on the trick play.
They haven't practiced. Yeah, they haven't. Sorry, we can't. No, they might just install it at halftime, so that might be even worse. So
yeah.
JP said earlier that Billy called it because Rob's asking, is it possible Lagway just need an IV?
Never seen anybody carried off like that for a hammy.
And it could be like I would maybe precautionary, but like Billy said, according to JP, Billy said severe hamstring at the half. So I would be surprised if he played. So we'll see. I think you'd have to be pretty excited with that half if you're a Florida fan or if you bet on Florida. So I would not expect to see Lagway.
What about Badger? I feel like he's been pretty quiet this game.
Yeah, I thought he'd have a big game because just where he's lined up and how Georgia plays defensively. But Burke seems to be seem to be splitting reps pretty evenly. I know Burke's a Jacksonville guy, so maybe he's kind of really keyed up and had a great couple weeks. But
maybe they like Burke's a little better running the ball. I don't know.
I don't know. So that'll be one to watch. He rotated in but I don't think he's been targeted yet. I thought the way Georgia plays defense, he'd be the singled up guy a lot, which I think he's been the singled up guy. That the position has been, but he's not he's not playing as much as I thought he would. But he's a guy that I think he's a better 50-50 guy. So give him a shot, make a play down the field.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Losing, not having Trey out there, it's so tough when you go from 4 weapons to 3 and only 2 receivers. When you've just got DK, Badger, Hansen, it's a lot easier to take away when you've got 3 wide receivers that are true weapons, and you can put 2 on one side of the field, 1 in the other, and pair the 2 with a tight end. That's a tough set to defend, and losing that is really brutal. And then, of course, losing, your running backs, your QB, it's just been a tough one. So glad Florida's hanging in there.
Any final thoughts here before we go? I do have one thought. The field seems to suck. Like guys are slipping all over the place. How is that field so bad?
I don't know, man. Can't even really blame the weather. Like, I think it's been beautiful in Jacksonville lately. So.
Any final thoughts before we get off here? We're expecting more pistol. I would imagine a ton of run game. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think we're still going to see Florida take some shots. I think that dig over the white cross looked pretty good. It'd be sweet to see it hit.
Maybe I mean, and this is maybe. You go back in this game. Sometimes you get guys coming up out of nowhere. You got the what was the guy was the Publix bagger and a dentist, right? Or dental school. Like, you get those guys sometimes. So maybe Warner will be that guy.
Yeah, crazy.
There's been some former walk-ons come in and play pretty well against Georgia. Little Carlin Bell action. So. we'll take that. We'll take the 84 game again. So.
At least can enjoy the good half. Oh, we got Liberty. She's making an appearance. The oldest cat in the world.
I'm really interested to see how the defense does in the second half. If they can kind of keep it going. This Georgia team, regardless of kind of, I think my final thought on it, like regardless of kind of what the outcome of this game is, this Georgia team is not like an elite team. I don't know if they still got guys hurt or not. This is not like now they may pour it on, but this is not near the level of the other Georgia teams, which is that should make for a fun rest of the year and really interesting matchup with Texas next week after kind of seeing what happened there. So
exactly. I do think Texas is pretty good. I think Texas is better than Georgia, regardless how that game went. Weird stuff happens in college football. Sometimes you get out schemed. When you've got elite guys on both sides of the ball, sometimes it just falls one way versus the other.
Real styles makes fight type deal.
Yeah. But, I'm proud of Florida. It's been a good half. Fight through it. if we win this game, I'm going to be ecstatic and just really proud of this team. So enjoy it, guys.
Yeah, we'll be back after the game, win or lose. Hopefully win, and we could have a lot of fun. But, went out on a limb and said Florida could win this game. And I think if Florida was fully healthy going in the second half, you'd feel really good about that prediction right now. So we'll be back after the game to discuss what happened in the second half. Hopefully Florida and the defense can hold on and run the ball in the second half. I think
Run the ball.
Run the ball. All right, we'll see you guys after the game. Go Gators.
Go Gators.